Hello, welcome back to the fish locker out on the boat. Now today we're hopefully going sharking. Whoop. And I've just stopped off to try and get some fresh bait. Oh, perfect. Now, mackerel are ideal hook baits for targeting blue sharks or poor beagle sharks. All I'm doing is I'm fishing a set of sabikis, as you can see, and I'm in 50 feet of water, just steaming on my way out, and I saw some birds working and I thought I would give it a little bit of a try, and I've managed to get myself half a dozen mackerel. Now that we've got some hook baits, what I'm going to do is we will steam out to an area of ground that I think is going to hold sharks, and then we'll get out there. I will talk you through what I'm going to do. Oh, straight into them again. Oh, they were barely under the surface. Oh, definitely. Well, that's bait taken care of. Oh no! It's just pooped right up my arm. Right, I'll take care of this mess and then we'll get going. Okay, well, I've got myself out to the area where I want to be. I am quite a long way offshore. This is my main sharking setup, my main blue shark setup. It's a carbo popping rod, a carbo fixed spool reel with, I don't know if this is 80-pound braid on, and I'm just running out of float at the moment. I'm going to be fishing two rods. I'm going to be fishing one at about, say, 80 yards from the boat and one at about 20 yards from the boat. I'm just running out the furthest bait, and then I'm going to bring up my second set. But the first thing that I'll talk about is the chum. One of the most important things when you're shark fishing is the chum. Chum, burley, rubby-dubby, there's a few different names for it. I have pre-made mine up. I have one that's frozen and this one that's fully thawed out, and all it is, it's just chopped up fish, bit of oil and bran. Now, I have got a video on the Fish Locker Workshop channel showing you how I make my chum, and all I do is I'm just putting it in an old laundry sack. And what it does is it puts particles into the water smelly oily particles into the water. Sharks smell it and it attracts them to your bait. Now I have this chum, like I say, inside a laundry sack, and the first one that I'm going to put out is also going to be inside a bucket with some holes in it. The reason that I do this is so that it doesn't wash out too quickly, and also if it's inside a bucket, sometimes what might happen is a shark might sneak up underneath the boat and bite the bag. You don't want them to bite through the bag because then it releases all of the scent. We will be fishing on the drift. Now, unfortunately, the sun is behind me. We'll move around during the day. We're out early morning, so it's still quite low. We are drifting in that direction. We have got wind. We're about just on slack water now. The tide's going to start picking up and then we're going to be drifting with the wind in that direction. What you want to be able to maintain is a long, straight chum slick. Now, I will show you in a minute all of the scent and all the bran and bits being released from the bag, but it creates a slick, like a channel of scent in the water. Any sharks coming into that, smell it, follow the scent all the way to the boat, find your baits. Now, my second setup is just a TLD and the GX, an ugly stick GX2. The setup is very simply a sliding float It's a big float, it's a pop bottle, and I'm ending in a number 5 Cox and Roll coast lock swivel, a very strong ball bearing swivel. The trace on the other end, I have around about, there is a video on the Fish Locker Workshop channel showing you how I make my traces. There's about 10 to 12 feet of 49 strand wire with, I think this is a 3 ounce or a 4 ounce lead, and then this is my main trace body, and then on the end of that I connect 3 or 4 feet of bite trace. Now this is a detachable hook length, mainly because sometimes if a fish gets hooked in such a way that you can't pull the hook out back, you can sometimes pull it through, so you can detach it. Also, this part of the trace sees the most wear. You can see this is a bit kinked, I've had a shark on this before. You can change this out if it gets damaged, whereas if it was all just one long piece, you'd have to change the whole trace. It ends in a 12-0 Cox and Roll Mutsu circle, and you can see, look, I've crushed down the barb. Now I like fishing muppets on mine, I like fishing muppets on a lot of my rigs. I think it adds a little bit more attraction. And all I'm going to do when I have unravelled it is you just take a mackerel flapper and just hook it up like that. We'll put this trace together and get it run out. What I have is I always have a little pouch with some ready-made traces in them. I have 4 or 5 more sets of hook lengths, a couple more sets of trace bodies. That way, for whatever reason, say for instance if I get bitten off, or if one of them gets really badly damaged, I can just change them out straight away with no lost fishing time. Now shark fishing, 99% of it now is catch and release. It's the best way to be with them. That's why I fish with circle hooks. Some people still fish with J's, I fish with circles because I find that 9 times out of 10 they always give you a better hookup, and it's a hookup in the scissors, which is easier to unhook. That's where the crushed barbs comes into it. When you're fishing with a circle hook, you don't strike into it the same way that you would strike into it if it was a normal J hook. What you need to do is, a circle hook, you work on the principle that the fish has the hook in its mouth. It's got it in its mouth. What you do is you tighten up. So say for instance, if we get a bite on here, you'll generally hear as the ratchet starts going. I would then engage the bail arm so it's tight drag. You wait for the fish to tighten the line up, generally so you can strum the line so it's tight, and then you just lift. You don't strike, you just lift. A steady lift turns the hook into the corner of its mouth. Then you just play the fish away. That noise there is you fish that reel on the ratchet. That way you it has just enough, it has minimal drag on it, like this much, and you get an audible alarm in case there's a bite. Now the key to shark fishing on a small boat like I am, especially when you're on your own, is tidiness and being prepared. So everything that I need is right to hand, right here. If I hook into a shark, I'm going to be playing it here. I'm not going to be able to move around and do an awful lot. So I have wire cutters, gloves, and I have 2 T-bars in case I lose one. Everything wants to be out of the deck. You don't want to be tripping over stuff, and you want to be prepared. Let's hope we get a fish to show you. When you are shark fishing like this, you can fish on the bottom as well. We are currently in 338 feet of water. My furthest float is set deeper. My nearest float is the shallowest float. That's because as the chum slick goes out, it spreads out and sinks. So it starts off and gets wider and deeper. So my furthest float is the deepest float. There you can see all the particles and the oil being released by the chum bag that's in the bucket. It's all drifting that way to where our floats are. And I don't know if you can see, but there's like a shiny area. That's the area of chum slick there. Any sharks coming into it and getting the smell will just work their way right up it to find the baits. The only problem with fishing baits at this depth, it just takes ages to wind them up. Oh. A nice red gurnard. Just taking on a little bit of mackerel strip on some silver tinsels. They are covered in spines, these. See these, all these on its back have got a spike on it. It's got a big spike at the back of its gill plate as well. I think they're lovely. Good eating when you get to about £2. Right, we have a shark. Tighten the drag. Wind and lift into the fish. There you go. All it did there was it just took the float straight down and started pulling drag away. Now it doesn't feel like a big fish because it's just hanging there. The only issue I've got now is I've still got my feathers on the bottom. This is the shark trace out of the way. Doesn't feel like a big one. See, bigger sharks don't have any bones. Bigger sharks need the weight of the water supporting their bodies. So if you're going to bring one on board a boat, if you can't slide it in through a door, you can end up doing the shark some damage. A smaller one like this one looks to be 20-25 pound. A smaller fish like this, you can generally handle them quite easy because you can just pick them straight up. The only problem with these small ones is because they're small, you end up bringing them to the boat before they're properly tired. So they do most of their fighting on the surface. In a second I'm going to have to let go of the rod. I'm going to have to put the rod in the holder and take hold of the trace. When you do that, you need to be able to back the drag off, because if for whatever reason I have to let go of this and it's going to dive again, the line will tighten up to your rod and it can snap your rod. It's only a really little one. Can you see? It's only a really little baby blue. Perfect little miniature apex predator. Is he going to open his eyes for you? Yeah. Stunning little sharks, aren't they? This one's... I'd be lucky if this one's double figures. But it's a start. He's away. As it was, that shark was only tiny. See if we can't get the baits back out and we'll get a bigger one. Yeah, this is all the trace. This is all the setup is. It's my carbo spinning setup. Sliding float. Ten feet of body trace with a weight on. And about 4 feet of trace, 4 feet of bite trace, ending in a 12-0 Mutsu circle with the barb crushed. Like I say, I do like muppets to add a little bit of attraction. I've just flappered off a mackerel. There, just like that. That's the bite. Bite and the drag. Lift into the fish. That's a better fish. Oh, that feels like a better fish. See how it spun the boat round? It's a little bit better. He's nowhere near played out yet. Try to find a way to be able to show you. Right, there's the business end. A second to recover. That is about the maximum that I would bring on a board. Any bigger than that, you'll see me T-bar off on the side. It measured 72 inches long and 31 inches girth. I will work out how heavy that was when I get home. But it was yeah, a little heavier than I thought initially. Right, swing the boat back around. We'll start that chum. We'll start that drift again. Made up with that. Only problem being is I should have rolled my sleeves down, rubbed me up, rubbed my arms up. I'll be sore tomorrow. One of the great indicators when you're shark fishing is you don't always see the sharks. Sometimes they'll come right in along the surface and you'll see their fin 200 yards back. and they'll work their way right along the surface, and as soon as they get to a float they'll drop down on a bait, or they'll come right to the boat. Other times, I mean like today, those 2 sharks that we've had so far, I haven't seen them. I've just seen the float go down and I've heard the rod go. So they might have come in. I mean, we're in 295 feet now. They might have come in from 250 feet and come up with the scent, come right up on a bait. You might not see them, but birds, especially fulmars, they have an innate sense. They seem to be able to spot a shark. So if you've got birds in the slick, like we have had earlier on, where they're eating little bits of the chum that's drifting out, as soon as they take off in a hurry, as if like a panic, or if they're skittering about and won't land, that's 9 times out of 10 that's because there's a shark in the water. They can see it or they can sense it. You might just not be able to see it. We've got a lovely bit of wind and tide now. We're drifting fantastic. 1.6, 1.8, 1.5, about 1.5 knots drift, and we've covered 2.2 miles since we started. So it's picked up lovely now. I was lucky. I was lucky because they're probably nets. Don't even know where the off end of that is. I was eyeing it up down there in a distance and I thought, oh, we'll just miss that. Yeah, what you don't want to happen now is you don't want to hook up to a shark and then go around one of them enders. We have a shark just in the slick. I've just seen a dorsal fin come up about maybe 20 feet away. All the time I was dealing with that shark, and because I had to spin the boat around again, I might have interrupted the chum slick. It's better to have one long continuous slick. So what I've done is I've taken the bag out of the bucket and it's just poof, like a massive cloud of scent. Hopefully that might kick them back on to come into where I am, because the fish had just started coming on, hadn't they? If I see another fish up here, I'll put the bag back in the bucket. When there's one fish on its own, it can amble around and it can pick and choose. It come up to your bait, and if it doesn't quite like it, he'll go somewhere else. Might go off and then come back again, because he's got the option of choosing. If there's 2 or 3 there, they are on it because they're competing with each other. If you can get a few fish in the area feeding, like up on the feed, they'll be sharp on a bait because they don't want one of the other guys to get it. It's the same principle like when you're coarse fishing, isn't it? So yeah, even if that little guy, even if him cutting about, if he doesn't take a bait, simply by him being here, if another one turns up, one of them is more likely to take the bait, just because there's another one in the area. The bottom baits for a little bit, and this is the general stamp of the whiting that I'm picking up. I've had about half a dozen of them so far. Got wicked little pin teeth. They're not bad when you get a decent sized one. We have a shark attacking the float. I don't know if I can show you it or not. There he is, look. Going for it again, look. See him just on the surface? Batting it with his tail. Shark on. Furthest boat's gone down. See what I mean about having a little one in the slick, brought another one in straight away. just by having that second fish there. Sometimes the smaller ones can wrap themselves up, so they're just like a heavy fight. So if you really pile the pressure on like this, it helps them unwrap themselves. He's up on the surface back there. Doing a full lap of the boat, this one. That little one's still down here, I can still see him chumming around. Whoops. There's another nice blow. Looking at it, this is another 60 or 70 pound fish. Right, see where the hook is there, it's the corner of its mouth. Get around the bend like that, turn the hook, just like that. Turn the hook, just like that. Just like that. Well, there was another one, another good sized fish. I was trying to get the camera on to show me T-barring it off. Not sure if it worked. We'll see. Just running this bait out, and it's literally got to about 20 feet from the boat, and the shark's just come up and tried to bite the float. If you can get the fish switched on like this, because they're mad for it, you can see the way that they're swirling around. Sometimes when they come in, they just kind of amble in like that, and now they're swirling and turning, and quite a lot of the little ones up on the surface, and yet every fish that we've had so far has been on that deeper bait. Just goes to show for all the sharks that you can see. I mean, we've seen 3 different sharks on the surface. We've hooked 3 different ones that have been underneath. So you don't have to see them for them to be there. There it is. The little one playing with it again. Be lucky if it's £10. I have had some of these smaller ones before as I've been bringing them in. The big sharks come through and taking a bite out of them. So it really is dog eat dog. There, look. I think that was a little one that's been hammering at the floats. Just a perfect little predator, aren't they? Them teeth are something else. Where he came from. Smaller fish like that are often harder to unhook. because you use the fish's own body weight when you use a T-bar. You use its own body weight to pop the hook out. The thing only weighed like £6. So you have to kind of lever him against something. There, I just put him against the side of the boat and pulled against the side of the boat to pop the hook out. Got a shark that's about £20, just come right up to the bag, circled back to that nearest float. I have rigged a little float with a little bait on for a garfish, and I literally just managed to pull it out of its way. Sometimes I've found that if you give them a few little free offerings, like I've diced a couple of them small whiting that I had, and one of the mackerel, I've diced it up into small pieces like that. I just chuck a couple of pieces in every 10 or 15 seconds. Them little free offerings can sometimes switch them onto the feed. It's like I say, with it just being one shark, it can amble in and do what it wants. I think that was that shark there having a go at this garfish setup. The garfish setup is just my light spinning rod. Just got a little sliding float and a little strip of mackerel belly. Garfish and mackerel will come into the chum slick because they feed on the little particles. It can be good fun to catch garfish, especially if you get a good one. Get a good size one like that. They really do. Really acrobatic. Yeah. Oh, there's a shark. Just had a shark snap me off on my garfish rig, and it wasn't a big one, it was about maybe £15. I think that same shark has just gone and picked that up. Wasn't a very committal bite, the float just bobbed once. Taking my bait clean off. Just like that. See if we can't get back out and get him. Well, he's taking the garfish bait. Bit of dosey doing. It must just be hooked in the corner of the lip. That was a miracle. Managed to get myself unwrapped from that. Right. This is a 40-gram spinning rod. And I've got 25-pound braid on. Shark on this rod now. Got a shark on that rod as well. There it goes. Yeah, it bit me off. Not surprising. Not surprising on my garfish gear, but I got him to the side of the boat. This is the bait that was. This is the bait that was out at distance. The one where I was playing that shark on the light rod. You can see, look where. That's how small the shark was. Those teeth marks are tiny. Just bitten it off at the back of the bait, look. See how tiny they are. There's been another little blue rat dog. Bag's almost completely washed out, but we've still got sharks with us. Just seem to be finicky, taking little tiny baits. That's a half a flapper that I put on there. Still holding out hope that there's going to be a big one amongst them. Don't know about you, but I like to do that. I like to have a bucket. I like to have a bucket on the boat with some clean water in so I can wash my hands off. Because there's no worse than just like when you've been dealing with fish. Like filleting off a bait or gutting or something like that, and your hands are all clammy and you get hold of your rod or something, just then everything gets clatty. Shark that's playing to that braid. Yeah, if you can see the glassy area, that's where the chum slick is. Yeah, that's a shark. Got it that time. Look at those teeth. You see how it's got like an extendable jaw where the teeth come out? Just like that. Still got hold of the bait, the cheeky devil. Another little blow of about dogfish size. Okay. looking. Just packing down. Chucked all my last little bits over the side. I was just tidying up and I was just thinking, tell you what, we might get one more fish out of this. There you go. It's a lovely little blow. Just made for speed, aren't they? And I'll just love that colour. Just getting recovered and see if we can get him back. I think that's the perfect time to end. What a cracking day's shark fishing. We have drifted a total of 6.4 miles. The weather's just picking up. It's just starting to get a little bit snotty. Yeah, I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope you've enjoyed joining me. I hope this has given you an insight into what it can be like in the UK shark fishing. Now, as I said, the really big sharks, if you ever do manage to come across one, they're better off T-barred off on the side. Small boat like this. The one that I brought aboard, the bigger one, was about on the limit what you'd be safe in a small boat like this bringing aboard for my own safety and for the fish's safety. As I explained, sharks don't really have any bones. They haven't got a rib cage, so they're used to having the support of the water supporting their organs. Now, any bigger than that, by myself, I wouldn't have been able to lift it out of the water properly. As it was with that, I wrapped the trace up around with one hand, cradled it, and I lifted it out of the water. Any heavier than that and I wouldn't have been able to lift it, so I would have had to drag it or like tail rope it, and it's just not good for the fish. I don't know what it weighs yet. I will calculate it when I get home and I'll put it in as an annotation. I don't even know how many sharks I've had, but a dozen, including one or two little blue rats that I love that spat the hook, including one shark on the garfish rod. Managed to get some fantastic bait to start off with. Run a decent chum slick all day. Nice gurnard, a few whiting. Another thing that is very important, for me at least, circle hooks, crushed barbs. You will find it so much easier. I'm going to finish getting tidied up and then we'll get home. All the best, and I'll see you later.